My daughter Emma had just gotten her diploma that afternoon. 18 years of school plays and science fairs and early mornings and packed lunches, and now she was sitting across from me in a white dress with her hair pinned up, laughing at something her cousin said. I was cutting into my steak thinking this was one of the best days of my life. That's when Marcus stood up. My wife's older brother, 44 years old, sales manager at a car dealership. Always had a loud voice and a louder opinion. He cleared his throat like he was about to give a toast. I set down my fork. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a manila envelope, placed it flat on the table. Then he slid out a stack of photographs and spread them across the white tablecloth like he was dealing cards. "Before we celebrate," he said, "I think everyone here deserves to know who they're really celebrating with." The photos showed a man who looked exactly like me.
Same height, same build, same face, standing in front of a house I'd never seen, holding a little boy's hand, standing next to a woman who was not my wife. "Marcus has a secret family in Ohio," he said. 2 kids, 4 years. The table went silent. My daughter Emma looked at the photos, then looked at me, then stood up and walked out without a word. My wife Sarah followed without looking back. I sat there alone with cold food and shaking hands. I didn't chase them. I made one call. The waiter came by and asked if I wanted my food wrapped. I said no. I left $40 on the table and walked out to the parking lot. The night air was cold. Sarah's car was already gone. Emma had driven herself. Both gone. I stood next to my truck for a moment, just breathing. Marcus was still inside. I could see him through the window, talking to Sarah's parents, hands moving like he was explaining something important, like a man who had just done something heroic. I didn't go back in. I sat in my truck, pulled out my phone, and called the one person I knew would answer at 9 p.m. on a Friday without asking questions first. My brother-in-law from my side, Daniel Reeves, retired detective. 22 years on the force in Philadelphia. Now he ran a private investigation firm out of Harrisburg. He picked up on the second ring. "What happened?" he said. Not a question. He knew my voice. I told him everything. The dinner, the envelope, the photographs, the man who looked like me standing in front of a house in Ohio holding a child's hand. He was quiet for a moment. "How long has Marcus had these photos?" "I don't know." "Did you recognize the woman?" "No." Another pause. "Marcus didn't find those himself," Daniel said. "Someone built that package for him. This wasn't a tip. This was constructed." I stared at the restaurant window. "Who would do that?" "That's what I'm going to find out," he said. "Don't talk to Sarah yet. Don't explain anything. Don't defend yourself." "Why not?" "Because innocent men who panic look guilty," he said, "and you're not guilty." He hung up. I drove home to an empty house. Every light in the house was off when I pulled into the driveway. Sarah's side of the closet was half empty, not packed in a hurry, neatly, like she had thought about this before tonight. Folded things taken, hangers pushed to one side, her toiletries gone from the bathroom counter, her charger gone from the nightstand. She hadn't packed after the dinner. She had packed before. I sat on the edge of the bed for a long time, just looking at those empty hangers. My phone had 12 notifications. Her parents, her aunt, 2 cousins, a few people from the dinner who I barely knew, all texting variations of the same thing. Shock, disappointment, distance. Nothing from Emma, nothing from Sarah. I didn't respond to any of them. I opened my laptop instead and pulled up my Google Photos. Went back 4 years, scrolled through every vacation, every weekend trip, every family photo. I needed to see my own life clearly before someone else rewrote it for me. Then I opened my email and found something that stopped me cold. 3 weeks ago, someone had created an email address using my full name. Marcus David Holloway, not my name, close to my name, Michael David Holloway. One letter different. That account had been used to book a hotel in Columbus, Ohio. Twice. The confirmation emails had been forwarded anonymously to my personal inbox that same night, like someone wanted me to find them eventually. I called Daniel back. "Someone's been building this for months," I said. "I know," he said. "I already found the Ohio address." "And?" "The woman in those photos," he said slowly. "Her name is Christine Hale, and she filed a police report 2 weeks ago." "For what?" "Harassment," Daniel said, "from a man she'd never met, who somehow knew everything about her life." The room felt very small. "She's a victim too," I said. "Yes," Daniel said, "which means someone recruited her without her knowing, used her kids, built an entire false life around your name and face." "Marcus," I said. "Maybe," Daniel said, "but Marcus isn't smart enough to do this alone." Daniel drove up from Harrisburg the next morning. He sat at my kitchen table with a folder, a coffee he'd brought himself, and the kind of expression that meant what he was about to say was going to change something permanently. He opened the folder. Christine Hale, 38, single mother, 2 boys, ages 6 and 9, lives in Columbus, works as a dental hygienist, never been to our state, never met you, never met Marcus. He slid a photo across the table, a woman with tired eyes and dark hair standing in front of exactly the house from Marcus's photographs. "Someone hired a photographer," Daniel said, "followed her for 2 weeks, spliced your face from Sarah's Facebook photos using editing software. The shadows are wrong in every single picture. A professional would catch it in 10 minutes. But a family at a dinner table wouldn't," I said. "No," he said. "They wouldn't." I looked at the doctored photos closely for the first time. He was right. The lighting on my face was slightly flat. The angles didn't match. I had been inserted into someone else's life like a cutout. "Who paid for this?" I said. Daniel tapped the folder. "Marcus has been underwater financially for 8 months. Credit cards maxed. Second mortgage. His dealership is being investigated for title fraud." "So he needed a distraction," I said. "More than that," Daniel said. "Your father-in-law, Robert, he's been planning to restructure his estate. Significant assets, real estate, investments. He told Sarah and Marcus both about it 6 months ago." I stared at him. "And if Sarah divorces me," I said slowly, "she inherits as a single woman." Daniel said, "Marcus becomes the only son-in-law, the trusted one, the one who exposed you." Everything clicked into place at once. This was never about hurting me. This was about money. Robert's money. The inheritance. The estate restructuring. Marcus needed Sarah to cut me out before the paperwork was finalized. He needed me gone quietly and permanently before anyone looked too closely at his own finances. He picked Emma's graduation dinner because the emotional stakes were highest, because I would look guiltiest, because Sarah would be most vulnerable. "How long do we have?" I said. Daniel closed the folder. "Robert's lawyer is finalizing the estate documents in 19 days. I nodded slowly. "Then we have 19 days, I said. Day 1. I did nothing. Daniel said that was the move. Let Marcus feel like he'd won. Let him get comfortable. Comfortable people make mistakes, and Marcus had never been a careful man. Day 3, Emma texted me. 1 line. "I just need to know if it's true." I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Every instinct I had wanted to call her immediately, explain everything, send her Daniel's folder, beg her to believe me. Instead, I typed back 4 words. "It is not true." She didn't respond. That silence hurt more than anything Sarah's family had said at the dinner table. Day 5, Daniel called with something new. "I found the photographer Marcus hired, guy named Terry Sloan, freelance, does insurance fraud work, custody cases, cheap surveillance jobs. He got paid $3,000 in 2 installments. Second payment came 4 days before the dinner." "Can he talk?" "He already did," Daniel said. "I showed him Christine Hale's harassment report, told him he was potentially liable. He gave me everything, emails, payment receipts, the editing software invoice. That connects Marcus directly," I said. To the photos, yes. But we need more. We need to connect him to the motive, the inheritance, the estate. Day 7. Sarah called me. I almost didn't answer. Michael. Her voice was flat and careful, like she was reading from a script someone else had written. Sarah. My parents want to meet, sit down together, work through this. Work through what, exactly? Silence. They think you should come and explain yourself. I almost laughed. I'm not explaining myself to the people who walked out on me, I said. When I have something to say, everyone will hear it at the same time. What does that mean? It means I'm not done yet. I hung up. Day 9. Christine Hale called me directly. Daniel had reached out to her carefully, explained everything, given her my number only after she asked. Her voice on the phone was quiet and controlled, but underneath it I could hear something cold and sharp. They used my boys, she said. They put my children's faces in those photos without my consent. I know, I said. I'm sorry. Don't apologize, she said. Just make sure whoever did this doesn't walk away from it. I won't, I said. 10 days left, and... Day 11. Daniel found the thread that unraveled everything. Marcus had been sloppy in one place, just one. But one is enough. The email account created in my name. Marcus David Holloway. He had created it from his home IP address, not a VPN, not a library computer. His own Wi-Fi network registered in his own name at his own apartment. Daniel had a contact at a cybersecurity firm who pulled the registration metadata legally through Christine's harassment case. She was the complainant. The police report gave them grounds. He did it from his couch, Daniel said, probably watching television. He's not careful, I said. No, Daniel said. He's arrogant. There's a difference. Careful people plan exits. Arrogant people don't think they need one. Day 12, I called Robert's estate lawyer directly. His name was Gerald Fitch, 40 years in probate law. Sarah's father had used him for everything since 1987. I had met him twice at family dinners. Quiet man, methodical. His assistant said he was unavailable. I left a message. Tell him Michael Holloway called. Tell him before he finalizes anything, he needs to see what I'm about to show him. Tell him it involves the integrity of his client's family. Gerald Fitch called back in 40 minutes. We met the next morning at his office, just the two of us. I brought Daniel's complete folder, Terry Sloan's signed statement, Christine Hale's harassment report, the IP address documentation, the payment receipts, the editing software invoice, every doctored photo with Daniel's technical annotations showing exactly where my face had been digitally inserted. Gerald Fitch read everything slowly and carefully without saying a single word. Then he set the folder down and looked at me over his glasses. Does Robert know any of this? No, I said. Does Sarah? No. He was quiet for a long moment. Marcus approached Robert 2 weeks ago, Gerald said carefully. Asked him to accelerate the estate timeline. Said the family situation made it urgent. He was trying to beat me, I said. Gerald nodded slowly. Mr. Holloway, I've known Robert Crane for 37 years, he said. He is going to be devastated. I know, I said. How do you want to handle this? I thought about Emma walking out of that restaurant. Sarah's empty side of the closet, the empty hangers, the pre-packed bag, 12 notifications from people who had already decided. I want everyone in the same room, I said. Same way Marcus did it. Gerald looked at me carefully. A dinner? Sunday, I said. 7 days left, more than enough time. Gerald Fitch called Robert on Thursday. He didn't tell him everything, just enough. Said there was a serious matter regarding the estate that required the family present. Said it was urgent. Said Sunday dinner would be appropriate. Robert called Sarah. Sarah called me. My father wants everyone at Sunday dinner, she said. Her voice was careful, neutral, like she was delivering a work memo. I'll be there, I said. Michael, whatever you're planning. Sunday, I said. 7 o'clock. She went quiet, then said one more thing. Emma might not come. That landed hard, but I kept my voice steady. That's her choice, I said. But I hope she does. Saturday night, Emma texted me again. Gerald Fitch called me directly. He said I should be there. He said it matters. I stared at that message. Gerald had done that on his own. I hadn't asked him to. I typed back. It does matter. I need you to see something. Not hear it from me. See it yourself. 3 minutes passed. Okay, she said. One word, but it was enough. Sunday arrived cold and gray. Robert's house was exactly as I remembered. Same dining table, same chairs, same framed family photos on the wall, including 3 of me that nobody had taken down yet. Marcus arrived looking relaxed, confident. He shook Robert's hand, kissed Sarah's mother on the cheek, poured himself a drink like a man who owned the room. He glanced at me once when I walked in. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. He hadn't expected me to show up. Good. I sat down at the table. Daniel sat beside me. Marcus looked at Daniel, and the confidence shifted slightly. Just slightly. Like a man who suddenly remembered he left something unlocked. Gerald Fitch sat at the head of the table next to Robert. Emma sat across from me. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her hands were folded in her lap and her jaw was tight, and she looked exactly like her mother when she was trying not to feel something. Robert looked around the table slowly. Gerald tells me there's something this family needs to see, he said. So let's see it. Gerald opened his briefcase. Marcus reached for his wine glass. Daniel placed the folder on the table. Same white tablecloth, same family, different envelope. Gerald didn't speak dramatically. He didn't stand up. He didn't raise his voice. He simply opened the folder and passed documents around the table the way an accountant reads quarterly numbers, methodically, quietly, permanently. First came Terry Sloan's signed statement, then the IP address documentation with Marcus's home network registration attached. Then Christine Hale's harassment report with her signed letter confirming she had never met me, never spoken to me, never been in the same state as me. Then the doctored photos side by side with Daniel's technical annotations showing exactly where my face had been digitally inserted. Wrong shadows, flat lighting, mismatched angles. Then the payment receipts. $3,000, 2 installments, Marcus's account. Robert picked up each document slowly, read every word, set each one down carefully like it was made of something fragile. Sarah's mother covered her mouth with her hand. Emma stared at the annotated photos for a long time without blinking. Marcus said nothing for almost 2 full minutes. Then he tried. Those could be fabricated, he said. Anyone could have... Marcus. Robert's voice was very quiet, very flat. The voice of a man who had just watched something he loved break and was not going to pretend otherwise. Stop talking. Marcus stopped. Robert looked at Gerald. How long has he been planning this? At least 8 months, Gerald said. Coordinated with his financial situation. He needed Sarah to divorce Michael before the estate was finalized. He needed to be the trusted son, the loyal one. Robert nodded once, slowly. Then he looked at Marcus with the kind of expression that doesn't need words because the damage it carries is permanent. Get out of my house, he said. Same words Sarah's father had once said to me across a different table at a different dinner. But this time they landed where they belonged. Marcus stood up, knocked his wine glass. Didn't catch it. Red wine spread across the white tablecloth and nobody moved to clean it up. He walked out without his jacket. The front door closed behind him. The room was silent. Emma looked up from the photos. She looked at me for the first time all evening. Really looked. Her eyes were red, and her jaw was still tight, but something behind them had shifted. Something that had been locked since graduation night had quietly come open. Dad, she said, that one word, just that. I nodded. She got up and crossed the room, and I stood up, and she hugged me the way she used to when she was 9 years old, and something had frightened her. Arms tight, face down, not letting go. I held on. Sarah watched from across the table. Her eyes were wet. Her hands were flat on the tablecloth beside the spread documents. She looked like a woman standing at the edge of something she wasn't sure she could cross back over. Later that night, she came to the door of the hotel room I'd been staying in. I opened it. She looked at me for a long moment. "I packed that bag before the dinner," she said quietly. "I know," I said. "That's what you can't forgive." It wasn't a question. "I don't know yet," I said honestly. She nodded, tears running silently. She didn't wipe them. "I believed him because part of me was already looking for a reason," she said. "That's the truth, and you deserve the truth." I stood in the doorway of that hotel room looking at the woman I had built 19 years with. I thought about Emma's arms tight around me, about empty hangers, about cold food on a white tablecloth, about a man who had gambled someone else's marriage against an inheritance and lost everything, including his family's respect. Marcus lost the estate. Robert cut him out completely. His dealership investigation accelerated without family protection. Last I heard, he was living in a rented room 2 towns over. Christine Hale filed a civil suit. Daniel helped her find a good lawyer. Emma and I had breakfast every Sunday for the next 3 months without missing once. Sarah and I went to counseling. We're still going. I don't know where that ends, but I know this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And when someone tries to erase you, don't run. Don't explain. Don't beg. Just build the case, quietly, carefully, and let the truth do what it was always going to do anyway.